Hi, I'm John Maxwell. When the top companies in the world are looking for trainers, speakers, and coaches, there's one name that stands above the rest, and that's Maxwell Leadership. Our certified team members have gotten proven results for companies all over the globe, and our reputation, I'm proud to say, is second to none. Some of our members have risen to the top of their profession, including the one you're going to meet today. I proudly introduce you to my friend Bob Fabian Zinka.
Welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ, where we help you lead with purpose and succeed with impact. If you're ready to grow into the kind of leader others want to follow, this podcast is for you. If you're determined to elevate your success and leave a lasting legacy, this podcast is for you. As my mentor, Dr. John C. Maxwell reminds us, everything rises and falls on leadership. Our goal is simple: to inspire you, challenge you, and equip you with insights that can transform the trajectory of your leadership journey. Welcome aboard to another episode of the Leadership and Success Podcast with Coach BZ.
Hello, everyone. This is Coach BZ. Thank you so much for being with us. Today is the day before Veterans Day 2025, and I have a very, very special guest for you. But before I introduce him, let's go ahead and do what we do on this program. Take a moment for a moment of gratitude. This takes less than a minute, and it's just something we are accustomed to do. We want to be thankful every time we meet. And part of the reason why we do this is because of the numbers of suicide in the military. About 22 suicides. Veteran commit suicide every single day, and you can commit suicide, be suicidal, and be grateful at the same time. So if you would close your eyes and think about one thing that you are grateful for today. And I think today I am really grateful for all of the veterans across America, those who have served even just for one day, those who have fought each and every one of our wars, and those who have put on the uniform of our country and volunteered and said, yes, I will serve, protecting our freedom and democracy even around the world. So I'm so grateful. All right, so let me see if I can introduce our guest. Today, we are going to be speaking to Lieutenant Colonel Johnny Lynum, U.S. Air Force retired. He's better known as the military CEO. I think that's his call sign name. So we're going to be talking about the same disciplines that wins battle, that can also build financial freedom and generational wealth. Johnny is a veteran, investor, author, and founder of REI Genius, whose book, Millionaire's Real Estate Success Strategies, has transformed our professional think about money, mission, and mindset. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, please help me welcome Lieutenant Colonel Johnny Lynum. All right, Johnny, how are you doing today?
Doing well, BZ. Glad to be here today.
Fantastic. I'm so glad I have a veteran on the show today. So first of all, happy Veterans Day. And can you tell us, is there anything you are grateful for today?
Yeah, no, for me, I think, how you started off the show, just really gratitude for being in the moment today, blessings that the Lord has allowed me to receive. And I think, now we talk about Veterans Day coming up and just the service. And the ability to serve in a different capacity, as we hang up the uniform, because there's a lot of work to be done in regards to veteran homelessness, veteran mental health, and just a lot of issues that impact the veteran community. So a lot of work to our brothers and sisters in arms.
Wow. Thank you so much. That is so insightful. Is there something about you that most people may not know?
Something about me that they don't know, what's not on the bio page. I think
Mm.
for me, that they don't know is, I really love to deer hunt. Country
Wow.
boy growing up in the backwoods of Alabama, so I'm an avid deer hunter. Although I don't get an opportunity to
Wow.
get out in the woods as much as I want to, but that's about to change. So I would say
That's
that's
pretty cool.
that'd be a good fact.
Where in Alabama? Because I consider myself from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I've lived there more than 15 years. They adopted me there. Roll Tide roll. Where in Alabama?
Roll Tide, yeah. So about an hour 45 minutes south, Grove Hill, Alabama, Clark
Ah,
County,
okay. Fantastic.
and yeah. So Roll Tide.
Yeah. Wow. What a small world. So can you tell us about your leadership background? How you got to join the Air Force, and most importantly, retire as a senior officer, lieutenant colonel. That's huge. Can you tell us about your leadership background?
For sure. For me, growing up humble beginnings in Grove Hill, Alabama, all of a whopping 3 traffic lights in town. And, from a very early age, my parents instilled in me just the work ethic and the importance of education. And, my dad was a pastor and entrepreneur as well, too. He had an appliance and television repair business, and my mom worked in the laboratory there in the local hospital. And, a hardworking family. And that work ethic spilled into me, and everything and how I showed up in my schoolwork was very well in regards to approaching school and using it as a tool coming out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had a 4-year Army ROTC scholarship, and I went to the University of Alabama for my in-person interview. And my dad, who was a Vietnam vet, he challenged me to go and speak with the Air Force while on campus. And
Was
that
okay.
decision,
Was
and
was your dad in the Air Force also in
he
Vietnam
was
Army?
Army, yeah. So he was
So
Army Vietnam vet.
why in the world did he ask you to go to the Air Force and not the Army? Because Alabama has WATC Air Force and Army.
Right, right. And so, when he for the quality of life, he saw both sides of it, and he's like, hey, and a lot of the the jokes they have out there, just the
Yeah,
quality of life has versus the Army, and
yeah.
and
Because the Air Force
and what
built,
I've seen is true.
yes, they build the golf course first, and then they build everything else, which is pretty cool. Yeah, because I remember in 1996 I was a student at UA, and I talked to both WATC Air Force and Army. Back then I didn't care, but I wasn't a US citizen, so they both asked me to go Pakistan. But anyway, wow, that is pretty cool. But when I eventually joined the military after 9/11, it was I talked to all four of them, including the crazy Marines. But it was very simple. It's like it's going to be the Navy or the Air Force because we have the two branches. I mean, God bless them. We need soldiers and Marines.
Right.
But, they use a lot of their body and physical attribute, whereas the Navy and the Air Force, I felt like they use a lot of their brain. But anyway, continue, please. That's just fascinating.
Yep, no, that's exactly it. That was exactly it. He was like, "Hey, have a conversation with the Air Force, see what they can do for you." And they told me that they couldn't give me a scholarship coming in, but if I came in and joined ROTC, put me on scholarship my second semester, my freshman year. I took them from their
Wow.
word, and as they say, the rest is history. And I was able to go on scholarship and graduated in 2005 with electrical engineering, and I commissioned as a second lieutenant in the world's greatest Air Force.
That is fantastic. Wow. Okay, so how did you experience commanding airmen and managing $1 billion program? How did that prepare you for entrepreneurship and investing, which is what you are in now? And as a lieutenant colonel, what was your designator in the Air Force?
A 62 Echo, so acquisitions. So
Wow.
primarily with me, I started work doing depot maintenance. So as an engineer, support F-15 sustainment, one
Okay.
of our fighter jets. And from there, the rest of my career really was around software development. So cost schedule performance, managing
Wow.
software development projects for different systems within the Air Force, but then also a few of our different agencies that we have in the intelligence community. And so
Wow.
just leading in diverse backgrounds, I had a stint as I did a sabbatical as an intelligence officer as well. And so that's really where I
Boy.
first got my taste of leadership, leading troops downrange in Afghanistan, doing intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance
Wow.
operations, doing working 6 months straight, 24 hours, 7 days a week, 24 airmen and a few contract, being able to do ISR
Nice.
operations and
Yeah.
supporting the guys on the ground. So that was definitely the pinnacle of my career. Being able to lead in that type of environment was a blessing,
Wow.
and it really brought out of me everything, those mission values, the ethics, the integrity, and everything my parents had given me growing up. And
Mm.
all of that kind of culminated and came in together to be able to be boots on the ground and leading troops in combat, and just being able to support the mission. Because for me, it was about money and finances to get my education commissioned into the military.
Hmm.
But after deploying and just going through all of that, that sense of service became
Wow.
something way past a monetary value.
That is really, really amazing. Now, I am an information warfare officer, so I do computer networking defense and things like that. But I also got a qualification from the Defense Acquisition University, their IT acquisition cert, I think level 1, 2, and 3. I'm sure you got everything across the board with DAU. But it's really amazing from just what you've said, how you get into the military. I know you may have a certain job or position, or I guess the Army calls it MOS, we call it as designator in the Navy. But then you get the opportunity to do a lot more if you want to, or depending on where uh, your career kind of takes you. And then you also, of course, have the opportunity to travel across America and around the world. That is really, really great. So, what mindset shift did you have to make when you transitioned from defending national assets to building personal and community wealth?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that overlap. It wasn't a clean break. It wasn't one moment, but really for us, as I look back, I can point back to a story that happened in my life. Coming off deployment, my next assignment, I was at the National Reconnaissance Office working in the D.C. area, and we had just had our first child. And at that point, we had made the decision that my wife wasn't going to go back into the workforce, and I was like, "Hey, going to one income." I was like, we got to look at how can we generate more income. And at that point, we had bought a couple of properties using our VA loan, moving around, buying foreclosures. And at that point, we decided to create a business to start doing fix and flip
Wow.
investing in 2015, almost a little bit over 10 years now to the date. And for us, it was a transformation from going broke mindset to a wealth entrepreneurial mindset. I knew all along that my dad told me at a young age, if you wanted to be rich and you wanted to be wealthy, that you had to work for yourself, that you weren't going to be
Yes.
able to achieve that working for someone else. And that always stuck with me, but I kind of got into the career, serving, doing really good, focusing on excelling in my job. But it really hit me kind of going through and looking at where we were at that assessment. And I saw the power of real estate after picking up a few rentals, after we buying homes, and then with our VA
Wow.
loan and turn them into rental properties. Then I'm like, hey, it's something to this real estate thing. And like, how can I accelerate the journey between just moving every 3 or 4 years and buying a
Mm.
property? And we decided to take the leap of faith. We bought our first
Wow.
property outside Fort Belvoir in Alexandria, Virginia, back in the summer, and the rest is history.
Wow, that is really amazing. So, something we mentioned when we were in the green room. So many veterans and people serving right now in active duty, they don't really take full advantage of all of the benefits available to them. When you come, when, I don't know if that's true for you, but I'm sure it's true for most people. The military doesn't pay as much as the industry does. However, we do have a lot of benefits when it comes to healthcare, to VA benefit for education, home ownership, and all of that. So many benefits, but sometimes sailors, though, veterans, they just don't take advantage of it. But it's really wonderful to see somebody like you took full advantage of your benefit and being able now to use it at the high level even after service. So for the people who are listening to us who may be transitioning, many veterans have seen the kind of struggle, right, with to let go. of their military identity after retirement. How did you redefine yours as the military CEO?
Yeah, no, great. I, just coming out of retirement here the last month, and just really the conversations you had with veterans, and really seeing it firsthand that a lot of active duty military they struggle with that transition, and it's the mindset and the attachment that we have with our military service, for good reasons, don't get me wrong, but it does us a lot of times a disservice where we're not able to translate that into the private sector or into the civilian world. And we come out of the military and everything that we may have known for like a 20-year career, and our only experience as an adult or really in a working environment, and really go into the private sector where you don't have the same culture, you don't have the same mission focus and values
Mhm.
across your peers in an organization, that a lot of military members struggle. I was at an event for with the Hill nonprofit with their Veteran Voices Summit in downtown DC last week, and it was interesting. One of the congressmen that I think he leads the Armed Services Committee, and it really talked about after a 20-year career. And oh, by the way, when we started talking about military members, only roughly 10% of military members stay for a full 20-year career to
That's
the
true.
point where they can take a retirement.
Hmm.
And so a lot of people think everyone is just fully retired, but only 10% actually stay 20 years in the service.
True.
But those that leave the military, that most will have 5 different jobs
Mm.
before they complete their next career.
Yes.
And I think what you're talking about, a lot of those struggles and challenges come from being able to recreate that identity and find who you are separate from military service, separate from your rank, and how you show up in a new organization,
Mm.
in a new career field. It's definitely something that is a challenge for most veterans.
Definitely. And you are not only part of the 10% who actually get retirement, but also part of the 4% who end up being a senior officer in the military. And for people with a skin color, that is a lot. So big congratulations for that. And also, you are an author, and I want to plug in your book right here, right? Millionaire Real Estate Success Strategies, what they forgot to teach you in school. Uh, let's talk about that a little bit, because I feel like people in the military, sometimes we don't really have a mind for wealth, and definitely not generational wealth. No, most people, they don't join the military to be millionaire, to make money. That's not the primary reason why people would join. However, I feel like you do have a lot of opportunities throughout your career to actually make a difference, right? So looking at your book and all of the work you have done, I guess one question I have is, you often say that financial freedom isn't about quitting your job, it's about creating option. So what does that mean for service members and working professional?
No, great question, and that's spot on, because when you look at it, we all know as soon as we step into the military that we have a date coming. 4 years later, it's 20 years later, or 30 years later. Like, there's going to be a day when you leave the service, and you're going to have to lean on your skills. Hopefully, you built up
Mhm.
more skills and experience while serving, and education as well too. And so really, it's really focusing in on tomorrow and the future, and having a plan to get there. And for me, once my wife and I, we started that fix and flip business, and really took down that entrepreneur path in 2015. I started transitioning at that point, because I was building a business. I had to build the systems in place because I was still
Yes.
serving active duty the entire time. And so with that, I took the skills of project management and program management and brought that to my business as well too. And so really, it's all about finding, who do you want to be? Who do you want to serve? What problems do you want to solve? And
Mm.
understanding how you can start solving those problems as soon as possible. And I get it. There's a lot of different career fields. Being out on the ship, and there's a lot of barriers where you may not be able to do as much as you would like to do while
Mhm.
still serving. But there's some things that you definitely can look and see how best you can position yourself for your transition, where you can do it on your own terms and you're prepared. It's not a lot of stress, it's not a lot of anxiety that's being placed on you and your family during that period of time.
Yeah. So talking about that, then, what do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions people have about real estate investing, especially those serving in uniform who are just trying to start out?
Yeah, I would think the biggest misconception is that you have to have a ton of money to get started. I would say that is the biggest misconception because so many people, we all realize that we need real estate. We need to have real estate exposure. But a lot of people think that they have to have a large lump sum to get started as a real estate investor.
Mm.
And, I bought multiple apartment complexes where I didn't put any money down. I
Wow.
bought a 24 unit, a 20 unit apartment complex, and I actually got money back at closing because they
Mm.
turned over the existing security deposits to me. And,
Yes.
so things like owner financing and creative financing that you can bring into deals allow you to scale up and allow you to buy assets that are undervalued and that you can force the appreciation. And so I think one of the limiting mindsets is not having the money or needing a lot of money to get started,
Wow.
which isn't true.
This is really amazing because I also told you in the green room, one of my primary mentors is a retired captain now in the Navy. Every time, no, you get 2 to 3 years assignment. Every time he had to move for the Navy, he always purchased a home. Every single time. Sometimes he would sell it back, make a profit, or just keep it. And now he's completely retired, but he gets all of his passive income. That's pretty much almost equal or even more than what he would get. For his retirement. So it's really amazing what you can do if you put your mind to it while you are in uniform. So back to your book and also on your YouTube video, you talk about your find, finance, fix, and finish framework. Maybe you can give us a brief summary of your framework, but also which step do you think most people, new investor, underestimate and why?
No, great question. Because really going back to the framework, so it's centered around being able to find great deals. Whether you're active or whether you're a passive investor, with how are you going to find the deals that you're going to look at investing in? So whether you're actively looking, where you're doing direct to owner marketing, or you're going directly to brokers who are working with sellers potentially that have deals where you can find those opportunities. But then also, being able to underwrite deals and understand how are you going to find deals if you're looking to find the right operators
Mm.
who are doing those things where they're going out negotiating with sellers or negotiating with brokers to get great deals under contract. On the finance side, is really how are you aligning capital to the deal. Each deal is going to be different, but there's opportunities, as I spoke about, where you could have non-traditional financing where a owner will maybe owner finance for 3 or 5 years the deal.
Mm.
But then also conventional financing like your traditional banks, Wells Fargo, your credit unions that are a great partner to have, as well as other lenders like hard money lenders and private investors that can invest in
Yes.
your deal. So really, finance is all about the money aspect, how to put the funding to the deal in order to get it across the finish line. And then fix is really executing the business plan. I really focus on value add real estate where we're looking for dilapidated or somewhat neglected deferred maintenance type of opportunities where we go in, we do renovations,
Wow.
and we bring the rents up to market rent after we've improved the building or the apartment unit and bring it up to 2025 standards. And from there, we're working with contractors to accomplish that. And we're also working with third party property managers to execute the day to day operations in order for us to execute our business plan, which leads us
Wow.
to the final step finish, where now, whether we're looking to refinance or we're looking to sell the property, now we're going to execute our business plan and implement that, where we're going to refinance, take the capital and roll into another investment, or if we're going to sell and look at doing like one tax deferred exchange, or we're just going to sell it outright and take that
Mm.
profit and roll it into the next deal. So multiple exit strategies is always preferred, but really that's the process to go through with finance, finish, and really from there, I think the most neglected part is really on the front end, the find,
Mhm.
because being able to find great deals is a true art. And you make money in real estate when you buy, not
Yes.
when you sell.
Yes.
I say that again, you make money in real estate when you buy on the front end
Mhm.
and not when you sell, because you got to buy at the right price on the front end and buy the deal and understand the renovations and how much budget is going to be needed on the front end,
Mhm.
in order to make sure you're making the right offer price.
Well, in that case, this is going to be a two-part question because no, I have a lot of aspiring senior officers listening to the podcast right now. Maybe they're junior officer right now, or 1 or 2 or 3. Um, this is a two-part question. So in the Disrupt magazine feature, you focus on helping others build generational wealth through side hustles. So what's the difference between hustle and sustainable business? That's the first part. And then the second part, which I think is more important for those listening to us, because they can look at you and all of your successes and everything you are doing. It's like, wow, this is just amazing. And I don't know, what did you do that while you were on active duty in the Air Force? How in the world were you able to do that? So what advice would you give to a service member or a corporate professional who want to start investing, but they feel like they are too busy? I guess that's an excuse many people are. But here you are, you've been doing it. I don't know if you have time to sleep or not, but it's just amazing how you were able to, because you didn't learn this investing in school, you didn't learn it in the Air Force. Although acquisition, I can say, yeah, you probably learned some principle. Maybe you were able to apply over, but not really. So how were you able to manage all of that? It's pretty amazing.
So on the first one, so the first question is really for like new investors that are looking to get into real estate while still serving.
Yes.
I want to make sure I got that right. So
Yes.
okay,
Absolutely.
yeah. So I think it goes back, because you brought up a great point about the time commitment, that you have to have the right career field that allows you the time and the deployment cadence, and offshore duty, things like that, that the Navy members have to worry about. And so one of the things that you really look at when it comes to investing is your resources. Really, it's time and money. And so the access to time, because we all have 24 hours in a day. And so it's really focusing in your schedule and time on the activities, the key activities that are going to move the needle when you're investing. And so if you're going to be on the active side, now it's allocating time. How can I leverage other people's time? So networking with brokers who have 4 or more to reach out to sellers on your behalf that can bring you deals, or aligning with other investors that may have more time but don't have the capital. And so making those partnerships is critical across different levels in order to find success. And for me, it was really aligning with other people that I could solicit to bring into the team to help, whether it's realtors, it's brokers, or if it's contractors as well, because I couldn't do the work personally myself, and really hiring a team. So I have multiple virtual assistants. I hired my first virtual assistant back in 2018. And that was a game changer, because I was leading team working for the Air Force. I was like, hey, I can do this, to bring the same leadership and structure to my business, to bring the right people in that can help me be successful.
Wow.
And so really it comes down to finding the right people with the right skill set, and being able to understand what are your long-term goals and how you bring those two together. And so I think really for a lot of people that don't have the time to invest, they're really busy, they have a high ops tempo, that a lot of times the passive investing is a route that I found. And that was one of the things that really took me into the financial advisor side that I operate in now that I'm retired, is just because I've seen the power of passive investing and being able to align into institutional deals that a lot of the wealthy participate in, where now you're in a position where your money is working harder than you do
Wow.
in regards to how you're building wealth and trading your time for money.
That is really, really amazing. I think this is a great point to switch over to the second half of the show, where we focus purely on leadership. First category of question, I'm going to ask you, what do you think is the greatest lesson you have ever learned throughout your Air Force career and your entrepreneurship journey? What is the greatest lesson learned so far?
The greatest lesson learned, I would say for me, it was the decision making process, and being able to be comfortable making decisions without 100% of the information. That was something as a captain, when I talked about going into my sabbatical as an intelligence officer, and that was critical. Where a lot of times as an engineer, that you want to think and you want to prove out your theories and have all the information and go through a methodical process.
Yes.
But when it comes to leadership, and when it comes to battle, and when it comes to leading operations, you're never going to have 100% of the information, and
Yes.
you have to be comfortable leading in that environment. And so I think that was the most critical piece that I learned, and I take that with me every day, in every investment, every deal, and every meeting and situation where I'm making decisions. I've become extremely comfortable with making quick decisions and being able to course correct when necessary.
Wow.
If the information we learn later down the line has changed, then we need to change our approach and being comfortable in those situations has been
Wow.
critical to my success.
That's really a master key to success because one of my mentors, I'm sure you know no, this one right there, Colin Powell, General Powell, he used to talk about the P 40/70. So you need to make a decision once you have between 40 and 70% of the information you need. Because many times what happened, it happened to me all the time when I was a junior officer. You want to get 100% of the info, but then no, you are pretty much going through paralysis by analysis, and then you end up not making a decision at all, or it is too late. That is so important, especially in the world we live in today with AI, emerging technology, and things changing so quickly. You do have to make a decision. That's really cool. So what do you think is the greatest leadership advice you've ever received?
Greatest leadership advice that I have ever received. I would say my first as a brand new second. I won't say I was 2 years in, but I was still, I was a first lieutenant at that time. My commanders, she talked about her leadership philosophy, and it was the 3 C's. I never forget those:
Mhm.
compassion, competence, and courage. And
Hmm.
it really stuck with me and hit home on the importance of leadership, and just one for being competent, knowing your job, knowing the information that you need in order to lead your organization. So the courage, being able to make tough decisions, being able to, operate in a high risk environment and still be able to thrive. And then I think the last C, when you look at compassion, we're being a leader, but then also knowing that the mission begins and having that compassion with how we lead individuals, how we lead ourselves, but especially giving ourselves grace and giving ourselves compassion when we make mistakes. But being able
Yes.
to, look at all three of those through the same lens simultaneously to operate. And so for me, it's those 3 C's that I still take with me today.
Wow, that is really powerful because in the U.S. Navy we talk about the three C's also, but I I found out recently it looks like a lot of leadership principle we learn in the Navy. We stole them from the U.S. Army. It looks like for the most part, which is fine. Anyway, in the Navy we do talk about the three C's of leadership as well. But it's just amazing. Do you feel like a lot of the leadership principles and lessons you've learned throughout your career in the Air Force also apply in your entrepreneurship journey and everything you are doing now?
100%. I think it's even amplified even more because a lot of times you get out here in the private sector, and there's a void when it comes to integrity, when it comes into service before self and excellence in all we do. And so I would say, those principles that we live by, a lot of times here in the business world, everyone doesn't operate on that same level. And so at the same time, us as military members, as veterans, that gives us a competitive edge and an advantage that
Yeah.
we have to know within ourselves and how we show up, that we have
Hmm.
that advantage, with how we show up in organizations and as how we show up in leaders and when it comes to entrepreneurship. And I think the one that we really don't give ourselves enough due credit is the grit and the ability where mission first.
Yes.
And people always, when we
Hmm.
we're mission focused and we have a whole different perspective
Yes.
that a lot of times, individuals and organizations don't get a lot of leadership experience.
Hmm.
They don't have perspective of being in a wartime environment
Yes.
or a high stress environment where individuals' lives are on the line. And so
Hmm.
having that resolve and that experience and bringing it to corporate America is a great
Wow.
attribute to bring to any team, especially for entrepreneurs as well too. Because as an entrepreneur, a lot of times you're going to have to wear a lot of different hats, and being able to be flexible in your approach and
Mhm.
understanding how to be creative to get the job done is going to be critical to success.
Yes, that is so true. So the three C's you learn in the Air Force: compassion, competence, and courage. In the Navy, it's a little bit different. We say character, competence again, and connection. But very, very powerful. So what do you think is the secret to your success? Again, no, less than 10% who joined the military get to retire. You did. Less than 4% get to become senior officer, O5 and above, and you did. And now you are a burgeoning entrepreneur and actually building wealth not just for you and your family, actually generational wealth, and also teaching other people how to do it. Why are you so successful? You think?
Man, I'll tell you why I know I'm so successful. It's the good Lord,
Mm.
Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, favor and mercy on my life. You're talking to just a young country boy that was running around barefoot, dirt roads. I would go to high school,
Yes.
and it's a true blessing. And one of the things that giving my life to Christ early on when I was 13, and just He's been with me every step of the way, and through mistakes that I made, and through the opportunities I've been given,
Mm-hmm.
that it's no doubt it wasn't just with some of my goodness or my own personal greatness,
Yes.
that he's been instrumental in all the success that I found. And so I think it's really keeping that faith-centered approach,
Mm-hmm.
and just knowing that He's ordering my steps, and the alignment that I have, and the mindset, that when facing adversity and facing situations, that it's all meant for my good, and that He's right there
Wow.
with me. And I always point back to scripture 37:25, where never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed bed begging for bread. And that's
Yes.
something that I've always lived by. And so I think that's really testament to my success, has just been my faith.
Wow. That is very powerful, because it's very similar. So sometimes when I ask the question, people will say, "I just feel like I was lucky," which is okay. No, for people like you and me, who are spiritual people of faith, we believe it is the Lord. But then I'm like, okay, but that's maybe at the spiritual level. What about on the physical level? What did you do that you think helped you be successful? So I like what you said about facing adversity. I think it's really a mindset, because I've seen it in my own life, where you get to people with similar background, they go through the same exact traumatic event or challenges. One of them completely falls apart, and somebody else just has that.
Mm.
You can't really name it, but they have something that just allows them to go even stronger, and they get even bigger and better. Right? It's like they just strive through the same adversity that somebody else went through, and they completely fell apart. And here they are, becoming more and more successful, more and more victorious, and just looking at challenges as an opportunity to do great. So I think that mindset, in my opinion, has a lot to do with success. But I don't know if you want to add anything before I ask you the next question. But that is really beautiful to see.
You're you're right. That mindset, and I would say grit. I would
Mhm.
say grit, and the grind of being able to be your best at everything that you're doing. And I can
Yes.
remember my mom telling me, whether you're cleaning toilets, you're cleaning the best toilet
Mhm.
cleaner, the best floor cleaner that you can be. And
Yes.
I've taken that to heart.
Mm.
And really, the mandate that I had, with coming from humble beginnings, was, hey, like, hey, you have to go to school, you have to get out of here, you have to get a good job, and you have to take care of your sister and make sure the family's good to go.
Mm.
And it's a lot of pressure, but you can do it. And so for me, it was like, hey, I got to get after it, and I got to go. And and I can remember, days coming home, and the lights being turned off, the Alabama
Mm.
power notice on the door and everything. And so for me,
Yeah.
my work ethic, my drive, is all about being able to be the best at whatever it is that I'm doing, and being
Hmm.
there for my family, and then for my extended family as well too, where never my kids never have to worry about their situation, or may have
Mm.
to make tough decisions about money and everything like that. And so for me, it's really just a drive to be the best version of myself that I could be, and having that grit, and not being afraid to take action.
Wow, that is very, very powerful. You are reminding me. I was in Africa. I think I was in maybe the sixth or seventh grade. The first time I heard about Martin Luther King, believe it or not, it wasn't about the "I Have a Dream" speech, but it was the speech he made. I think it was a high school, where he said something like, uh, if you should sweep the street like you should sweep the street like Michelangelo painted picture, like Beethoven composed
Mm.
music, or like Shakespeare wrote poetry. Do the job so well that all heaven and earth will pause to say, "Here lived the great street sweeper who swept his job well." So even if you sweep the street, no matter what you do, be the very, very best at what you do. Yeah, I think I was probably like 8 or 9 years old when I first heard that, and that really touched my life. It's really one of the major keys to success. That's a great lesson for people who are listening. Wow. Okay, so as a leader, what are you learning right now?
Oh, financial advisory, number one.
Yes.
With the pivot to financial advising, that I've taken, what, 4 exams the last 3-4 months. We're really getting
Mm.
to secure, really diving in for me on oil and
Wow,
gas,
congratulations.
as well as, yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's been a fun transition. Learning more about oil and gas, institutional multifamily funds, and
Mm-hmm.
just a lot of the wealth vehicles that a lot of the wealthy and high net worth individuals using. And so, really,
Wow.
for me, it's been going in another area, a whole nother level of commercial real estate, as well as private equity, private credit. Having
Yes.
conversations, with multi-$100 million fund managers and CEOs and sponsors. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's been really good. It's been really good
Wow.
to operate there. And so I've been doing a lot of learning in that regard to really help my new clients that are coming on board with building wealth and diversifying their portfolios outside of Wall Street. So it's been extremely rewarding there, and just really just the learning process. It never ends. It just continues.
That is so true. We're living in a completely different world now. I know with my grandparents, they only had to go through high school and that's it. They never had to open another book in their lives and work for a company for, I don't know, 20, 30 years and get a gold watch. But those days are gone. Now we just have to keep on learning. So everybody look at your successes and we are quite impressed. It's pretty amazing in the Air Force and now in your entrepreneurship journey. What about failure? I have this coin. One of my CEO gave it to me. It says success on one side and then failure on the other. So success and failure, two sides of the same coin. One thing that people don't see is your failures. How has failure shaped your life in both the military and your entrepreneurship journey?
Yeah, no, I think we learn more from the failures than we do the good times and the successes.
Mhm.
And I think really reflecting on like the failure and the impact on success and just my life in general from the failures, that those are the tough times that really make and shape you into who you are. Like we all say we have faith, but it's a whole nother thing. You have to lean on that faith, and you're in a circumstance or situation to have faith. And so, for me, it's really just going back and reconnecting. I would say reconnecting with God and because on the good times you're at the top of the mountain, like everything is good. But when you're in that valley, you're slugging through, and it's every step is taking that breath out of you. That you have to have that
Yes.
resolve, and you have to remember back on where the Lord has brought you from, and that this
Mhm.
too shall pass, and that
Yes.
you've been successful to this point, and leaning on that past success. How can you see your way? How can you navigate your way through? And so I think taking losses along the way and getting those bumps along the success that much more sweetening. But I think also
Mhm.
so it really, for me, it's taught me to be content, and that success is measured backwards, because a lot of times with us as entrepreneurs, we really focus on like the next goal, the next hill, the next mountain we're about to climb. But in reality, where we have come from, the mountains we have already conquered, that's where success lies. It's behind us. To be here today is we're already successful by being able to show up here today, not by what we're going to do 6 months from now.
Wow.
And so once really taking that view has allowed me to really slow down, to also focus on the moment with where I'm at, and understanding just
Mhm.
how blessed I am with where I am right now with success. And so I think those failures kind of go right in line with that. Like overcoming those different challenges allows you to be in where you can operate in contentment right now in the moment, and be living in the moment,
Yes.
and see it for what it is, and reducing stress, reducing anxiety. Because I hadn't always been there, but that's something that I really have embraced and really take advantage of, because a lot of times you're chasing the next deal, the next
Yes.
$1 million, the next apartment. But in reality, the things that are most important to us are all free. The relationships, the
Mm.
love for family, all those different things that we really should be focusing on day in and day out. And a lot of times that adversity or those challenges can sometimes help us to make us lose sight of what's most
Yes.
important.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. If you are open to it, is there a specific incident that happened, whether in the Air Force or with your business, where you felt like you failed, and what kind of helped you get through it, and which important lesson did you learn from that experience? If there is one incident you could share.
Yeah, no, there's definitely one that comes to mind. I would say it was real estate deal, property I still own right now, where ended up taking over $200,000 loss.
Wow.
Over $200,000 loss where we had vandalism. We had put about 180,000 in renovations into 12 apartment buildings. And during that time, it was going into the fall. And of course, during that time, not a lot of people are moving. You're getting close to Thanksgiving, Christmas. A lot of people aren't moving and looking for a place to live. And so we had the market, we had the units priced at market, and it was slow. And hadn't got anybody in there yet. So anybody that's in real estate, a vacant building is a target. And if you have people that's coming through, routinely coming through, that you can have vandalism. And so ended up having two episodes where we had theft, where they stole air conditioned units, they ripped
Whoa.
electrical wiring and plumbing out of the units over the course. It had to be over a couple days, and did a lot of damage to the tune of over 200,000. And then, since our occupancy was below 32%, the insurance denied our insurance claim, and
Wow.
so had to eat it all out of pocket. And so for me, that was a learning experience the hard way, with taking that type of loss, with understanding, hey, that doing it in phases, keeping some people around where you can deter
Yes.
thieves, and but then also leasing up for a lesser amount just to get people in the door. And
Mhm.
then you can always increase the rent the next year when you. That was a tough learning lesson to go through that. And
Oh,
you could be angry at the situation, and that's why answering the last question,
mm,
I had to go through that and learn that I didn't always
yes.
operate at that high level to take adversity in stride like that.
Mm,
That was a learning experience for me, and how I approached it and how it built me up
yes.
into the investor I am today. Those learning lessons, and so that was the big loss. Now we have all new HVACs, all new plumbing, all new electrical in the building, and the
Mm,
returns are going a little bit further down, unexpectedly, but it's still profitable deal. And that's why
yes.
you have to manage risk with investments. You have to buy right, where if you have certain issues or things happen like that, and have the proper insurance in place where you can weather those storms.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. It goes back to what you were saying. I think it's really the mindset, and if you are a believer like we are, you believe that no, you're gonna go through whatever storm that comes your way. You've got what it takes from the inside, right? Another Bible verse says, "Greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world." It's just a belief that you have, no matter what's going on around you, you are gonna make it some way, somehow. You may not know how, but you will. So it goes back to that word you said, right? Great, like believing you really have what it takes. I'm really sorry you went through that experience, but you remind me of what one of my other mentor told me, Doctor Willie Jolly, where he says, "No, a setback is nothing but a setup for a comeback," and that's really the mentality, the mindset people need to have. People who are successful, almost everybody I have interviewed successful, that's exactly the mindset they are. They will come back. Whereas other people, when they get a setback, it's the end. They're dead. They're never gonna get back up again. Right? But somewhere else in the Bible, it says, "No, the righteous man may fail even 7 times, but they keep getting back up again and again and again and again. Like they just never quit. Almost like kind of like that Energizer Bunny, right? You just keep tick 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 tick, and you never
Yep.
stop. So it's definitely a mindset, whether you're doing it in the military, in the industry, real estate and financing, like you do, or in the tech world. Sometimes life will disappoint you, but you need to have that mindset. I am not done yet. I am still here. So wow, that is powerful. Okay, we have about 7 minutes left. Let me ask you this: who are some of your mentors, some of the thought leaders you follow, people you learn from, or people who have impacted you with their knowledge or philosophy?
Yeah, no, that's a great one. I think, you laid out. I think John Maxwell is one that definitely
Mhm.
stands out. Also, I would say Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Yeah.
was one that really was instrumental in changing my mindset and
Mhm.
how I approach entrepreneurship and just the investing mindset. Uh,
Yeah.
Thought leaders, you. I would say David, King David in the
Mhm.
Bible, like really, talking about adversity and everything, and going through and understanding the Psalms, and and Proverbs, and I would say Solomon with Ecclesiastes, with just wisdom and really bringing context to life, and what's most important, that it shaped everything in my
Yes.
approach to be here today.
Mm.
So I would say those are three, and those are three books you can go pick up right now and read that are
Yes.
free, that people can get access to do it. I would say last one, Simon Sinek. Just focusing on knowing your why and things like that with just the mindset is always a good
Wow.
read as well too.
Amazing. So if you could choose three people to have dinner with, who would you choose and why? They could be alive, dead, or mythical figures.
Number one, my mom. Just to be able to sit down and have dinner again when she's no longer with us, would definitely be there. Um, who else? I would say Kobe Bryant is on the wall. Just his mindset, the Mamba mentality is a great one.
Yes.
That would love to have the conversation. Then Martin Luther King.
Yes. Wow. Fantastic. Okay. What books have you read that we should read? Which books would you recommend? First and foremost, I want everybody to purchase your book, Millionaire Real Estate Success Strategies: What They Forgot to Teach You in School. Best-selling book available on Amazon. What else do you want us to read?
I would say from an investing standpoint, definitely check out Tony Robbins. His book came out February this year, The Holy Grail of Investing, that really talked about alternative investments and private equity, and it really gives you a new outlook on investing.
Talking about this one, Money.
No, it's not that. It was a new one came out in February. Yep, The Holy Grail of Investing.
Okay, I thought I had all of his books, so I'm gonna make sure to get that one. Okay, any
Yeah,
other
that was
book
really
you
good.
recommend?
And then if you haven't read it, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Really, that's one is a timeless classic that really just gives you a new perspective on investing in entrepreneurship and being an employee.
Very, very good. And actually, which Dad Poor Dad, Sharon was the partner of Robert Kiyosaki. I actually interviewed her on this podcast a couple of weeks ago. People should go back and listen
Nice.
to it. Yeah, she's just great, and she's done a lot of work too with the Napoleon Hill Foundation. I don't know if you've heard of them. He's the one who wrote the book
Okay.
Think
No,
and
I
Grow
haven't.
Rich. It's like the number one
Napoleon
best-selling
Hill.
books
Yes, yes, yes.
of all time. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, that's a
So
great book.
he was she's worked with them as well. But yeah, it's definitely someone you should uh, listen listen to. Sharon Lecter. So she's season 4, episode 80. That's when I interviewed her. We at episode 108 now with you. Okay, so let me ask you, is there maybe a song or a book or a movie that would be your life's theme or anthem?
Song that would be my life.
The theme of your life or an
I would say I would have to say Marvin Sapp Never Would Have Made It.
never would have meant it. I love that song. Powerful, powerful. Yeah, I listen to it a lot. Okay, very good. What is one action you are thinking about taking right now that you think will positively impact your life?
One action that I'm possibly taking right now that would change my life.
Or just
I think
positively.
right now implementing direct mail for my financial advising business to
Wow.
invite investors to our webinar. So that's one kind of get into that I think will pay
Cool.
dividends.
So they still do direct mail. Huh? That's pretty cool because so many of the things we used to do now are being replaced by electronic social media and all of that. But it's true. Some of the old school tactics, still have a lot of impact and effect. Like I was telling my daughters, they don't remember, but they don't even know what a telephone book looks like or what it is. I used to remember,
Right.
the time where I used to remember people's phone number, but now, you just go to the iPhone and say call dad or call mom or whatever, and it's just start dialing. But anyway, it's pretty cool. Okay, when you wake up in the morning, let's say you had a magic wand and you could solve any problem. What is one problem you would like to solve?
Veteran homelessness. Yeah, I
Yes.
think veteran homelessness is definitely the top one. Just really as I learn more about it and just see the impact, like for veterans that gave so much to this country,
Yeah.
and to be in a position where they're sleeping on the street or don't see the quality of housing. So I think that's one that's
Absolutely.
really critical, as well as veteran suicide is right there too. I think
Yes.
two critical
Yes.
concerns we have as a nation.
Absolutely. Now, I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, probably one of the wealthiest zip code in the world. but I'm really amazed at how many homeless people we have, and some of them veteran. And I think California spent what was it, $40 billion to try to solve this problem, but obviously they haven't been able to
A lot. Yeah.
make a difference. But okay, uh, if you had one and only one day to live, what would you have liked your final contribution to be?
That's a man. That's deep. My final contribution would be to yeah, for my kids to know that I love them and that I've given them all the tools they need to be successful and to be great citizens of this world. And I think that would be the biggest thing that I want them to do in my job as a father, to raise them in that way and to make sure they have all the tools and everything they need. And so they can go on YouTube, they can go on LinkedIn,
Yes.
they can go on my website, and they can see all the information they need to be successful. And they already know the Lord and where everything else there. And I
Mhm.
know that they'll have everything they need to be successful.
Okay, that's a great segue to toward the end, where we ask, what can we do to add value back to you? Thank you so much for being one of our teachers today. So, how can the audience add value back to you?
Really just connect. Just allow me to know how I can help serve, whether it's speaking for an organization, about financial literacy, about investing, sharing that information. Right Time Financial, we do a great job here in the Washington, D.C. metro area with getting out and informing groups and organizations about how they can build wealth. And that's what my passion, my new service is with that and the financial planning. I work a lot with accredited investors, with helping them as well too, with finding alternative investments and just really getting the word out, because our society is changing, our economy is changing every day with the impact of AI, a lot of automation. And so
Hmm.
right now we see, there's not aren't a lot of organizations that have pensions, and with the 401ks and retirement, that I think it's critical for us as Americans that we have to take back control of our retirement and our investments, and better, being informed and being in a
Yes.
position to become a better steward of our resources that we're given is going to allow us to be able to our retirement last, our funds last time as we're living longer and things like that. So I think that's critical
Yes.
with helping individuals learn how to build wealth the right way.
Wow, that is fantastic. And everybody, so that's linkedin.com in military CEO, very, very easy to remember, or journeylynum.com. And you can go to his YouTube site too. So much information there available for you to learn for free. So thank you so much. So before we end, is there a question I should have asked you that I haven't asked yet?
Question that you should have asked me that you haven't asked yet. I don't think so. This was really good. I will tell you, this is probably one of the best podcasts I've been on,
Thank you.
and I've done a lot of podcasts. And so I think we really went through and I think talked about some topics that really will add value to the audience. And so I don't think there's anything that you could have
All right
asked me outside of who's the number one college football team. I can that.
then. It better be Alabama. Okay, so
Yep,
let me ask
the
you this.
University of Alabama.
That's right. Roll Tide, roll. I mean, I must tell you, the first time I went to a Bama football game, I didn't know what that was. It was crazy loud and people just going ecstatic. I'm like, wow, this is something else. But anyway, so let me ask you this question. I think it's probably the most important question for the podcast. If you could go back and give a piece of advice to your 17-year-old self, standing at the edge of this incredible career you've had in the best Air Force in the world and as an entrepreneur, what would you say to 17-year-old Johnny?
Oh man, I would say start buying multifamily, start buying apartments early,
Wow,
start buying real.
cool. But
Yeah, if I had known that then, whew,
wow, no,
it would be
no saying
it'd
where
be
you would be
amazing.
now.
But no regrets. But I think that's it. Buying assets and investing early for sure.
Okay, so for those who are listening to us, and especially those who are in uniform and on active duty, and I know you move every 3 to 4 years, if you can dive into real estate, you would definitely encourage that.
Yeah,
Wow,
100%. Use your VA loan. That's one of
fantastic.
the best benefits us as
Yes.
veterans have, with being able. You could buy a duplex, a triplex, or a fourplex with your VA loan. 100% financing, no money down. Figure it out. Find an opportunity wherever you are to use your VA loan benefit and start building wealth.
All right. I know we out of time. Can be a couple more minutes, and we're gonna end the show to 2 more minutes. Okay, let's do this quick. So it's gonna be a rapid fire, right? Lightning round. Let me ask you, what is one word that comes to mind to define leadership? One word.
Competence.
Okay. Morning routine or practice that keeps you grounded.
Prayer.
Book or quotes that change your life.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Who inspires you the most today?
My dad.
And finish the sentence. Leadership is
doing the right thing.
Okay. And what did you want to be when you were a kid?
Wanted to be an engineer for General Motors.
Wow. Now you did study engineering.
Build Corvettes.
Wow. Cool. Okay. What are 3 adjectives describing you as a child?
Smart.
2 more.
Funny.
1 more.
And skinny.
All right. What about as an adult?
See, I would say smart, gritty.
One more.
And Christian.
Okay. So this is a very, very last question and we are done. What is one word that represents our shared experience on this podcast today?
Phenomenal.
And I think I'm just so grateful and having a veteran with me on the eve of Veterans Day 2025. Thank you so much for all of your service, everything you do and what you continue to do with the veterans community and really teaching people how to increase wealth. That is so important, especially for minorities, women, and underrepresented people in this country. What you're doing is just phenomenal. I'm just so excited that you were able to be with me on this podcast today. So thank you so much, Johnny. Really appreciate that, Colonel. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right, everybody. This was phenomenal, like the Colonel said. So I'm going to be sometimes next week. I'm going to have a 10-minute AI recap of this interview. And I'm very, very grateful for my brother in arms to have been here today. And later today, in a couple of hours, I will have my mentor, the one and only Dr. Tim Elmore. He wrote a book, The Future Begins with Z. The book is out. You can get the book now. Best-selling author, keynote speaker, and founder. So we're going to be talking about Leadership 2.0, the Gen Z playbook. That's going to be in a couple of hours today. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to have another one of my brothers in arms, Colonel Alex Ramos, U.S. Air Force, retired as well. He's a founder, speaker, coach, and he's going to be talking to us about leading without fear. You do not want to miss it. And then on Thursday, I will have Coach Divya Smith. She's an investor, entrepreneur, and executive here in Silicon Valley. We're going to be talking about building generational wealth once again. So that's what we have planned for this week. And thank you so much for being with us. I'm going to play a short clip of Colonel Johnny Lynum, and then we are going to end the show. Let me cue it in for you guys. And I'm so grateful that he was able to join us today.
Hey, I'm Johnny Lynum, a husband, father, Air Force Lieutenant Colonel, retired, and real estate investor. After 20 years of military service, I made it my mission to help hardworking professionals build financial freedom and legacy through real estate and smart investing. Like many people, I worked long hours and raised a family, but I realized real wealth doesn't come from trading time for money. It comes from owning assets, understanding how money works, and letting your money work for you. I started investing while still on active duty, one property at a time, and it changed everything for me and my family. Now I help others do the same thing through my REI Genius community, the $1 Million Coffee, and our Financial Freedom Network. Here, you'll learn proven real estate strategies, financial education, and faith-based principles that align purpose with profit. If you're ready to take control of your financial future, subscribe and join the journey.
Thank you for tuning in to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ. If today's episode added value to your leadership journey, be sure to subscribe, share, and join us again for more wisdom nuggets on how to lead better and achieve greater success. Remember, leadership is the most critical skill of our time. The world will always need leaders to inspire others, drive innovation, and execute meaningful strategy. So why not count yourself among the bold leaders shaping the 21st century? Until next time, stay inspired, stay committed, and keep leading with excellence.